Hey, Bulls and Bears, it's JJ. You're watching Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. It is Monday, June 7th, 2021. We've got another dose of economic reality today, and actually the rental situation is much worse than I thought. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about experts, quote-unquote experts, that are saying that there's an eviction cliff possibly ahead. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for being here and for sticking with me on this channel. Quick story before we get into the news today. I had somebody unsubscribe to me about a year ago when I said the housing market would not crash even after the economy was shut down and after the sickness was spreading. I said it's fiat currency. They can prop it up. They can change the laws, and just that's exactly what happened, right? So that person came back and he messaged me over on Twitter. So thank you for coming back and admitting, what I knew was obvious back then, that they wouldn't allow the economy to collapse, or at least the markets. Now, many people's personal finance situation has collapsed. Many small businesses have collapsed and failed. And there's a new report out that says 1 out of 3 businesses may not last through the end of the summer here in 2021. But the person that disagreed with me, they didn't think that there was this level of manipulation in the markets, and that includes the housing market, the real estate market. You see, when the Fed comes out and says they're going to back the banks no matter what, no matter how many people can't pay their mortgages, no matter how high the mortgage debt gets, the Fed will still be there to back the banks. That's what the Fed has came out and said. It's not me making that up. It's not me assuming or guessing. That is what the Fed has told us. So anyone that thinks that this market cannot be propped up to infinity, just go look at what the Fed has said that they are willing to do. And once you understand that, then you'll know that this is a completely manipulated game. So now it's no more a matter of looking at fundamentals and incomes, and even jobs, right? So even if there were no jobs at all, 0 jobs, if you allow infinite debt, markets still may not correct like they normally should if there wasn't this thing called infinite debt. So we're on the same page, we understand. And I just want to let you guys know that, because I try to tell you the truth, and believe me, sometimes it's frustrating. I've watched other channels predict crashing markets for the past 2, 3, 4 years in some cases, and those channels typically get a lot more views than mine, right? So I'm not here just to get views, regardless of what some people might think. If I wanted to just get views, I would say the market's going to crash tomorrow and everything's going to be, Mad Max. Could it happen? Absolutely. But the signs are not pointing to that at all, right? Again, if I just wanted to get views, I would go out there every video. It's going to be a crash, a collapse. And I just want to stress that, because sometimes the truth isn't popular. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear that home prices are going to collapse next week. Homes are going to go on sale for 90% off. And instead of renting now, they can go buy their dream home. People want to hear that. And it's kind of like a lot of people pay the lottery. I read that the average person spends $1,000 a year on lottery tickets. Right now, that's an average. So a lot of people may never buy a lottery ticket, and other people may spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a year on lottery tickets. People love the thought of an instant gratification, or a crash, or winning the lottery. Right, but we're here to face reality, and this is another dose of economic reality. Let's talk about the renter situation here. Now, we've been talking about this study that came out about 5.7 million renters behind on rent. Another recent study actually says that may be way too low, and that by itself is a bad enough number. Recent study, this is out of CNBC, more than 14% of all renters are still behind on their rents. Now, this article talks about the national eviction ban that's coming to an end. There's still a lot of local protections in place. So I don't expect to see tens of millions of people go homeless overnight or get evicted. Right? It's not that simple as just the national eviction ban. There's local laws that have been passed as well. Well, let's talk about this number, 14%. Now, this latest survey puts that 14%, making that about 10 million Americans are behind on rents. Now, that number comes from data collected by a Census Bureau between May 12th and May 24th of this year, and it was analyzed by the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, and they found that more than 26% of Americans continue to have trouble meeting their usual expenses, and around 9% couldn't afford enough food. And yes, we are still seeing food lines in the United States, and they haven't gotten much shorter, and actually in some reports I've looked at, they've gotten even longer. So here we are a year past the big shutdown recession, and we still have food lines. We still have tens of millions of people behind on their housing payments. When you combine it with the people behind on their mortgages, there's about 20 million people living in households that are behind on their housing payments, rents and mortgages combined. All right, so this is a nasty, nasty, nasty situation. But when I watch the financial news, it's all about the markets. It's all about this company, that company, earnings, dividends. But we have millions of Americans in financial dire straits right now. But it's all about who's going to get in the market, who's going to buy the right stock, who's going to get rich. No one's talking about the overall situation and the big picture. Yes, if you invest correctly, if you invest wisely, you can make money. But most people are not active investors. Right? Most people that are in stocks are just in stocks just passively in their 401k and retirement accounts. A lot of people aren't actively trading. So getting rich in the markets is not a solution. It's going to help some people, but most people are going to continue to get further and further and further behind, further in debt. In many cases, the harder you work, the more you get left behind. And it's just sad to see that so many people, good people in this country that want to work hard, that want to do the right thing, are just basically spinning their wheels and not getting anywhere because the cost of living continues to rise. Now, back on the rental situation, Berkeley News, are renters in the U.S. economy hurling towards an eviction cliff? Well, this article states that experts, quote unquote experts, I always put quotations around that word, experts are predicting a possible eviction cliff. Millions of U.S. renters have lost income and are billions of dollars behind on paying rent. When the federal and state moratorium expire in a few weeks, UC Berkeley experts say the nation may see a surge in evictions. So let's repeat that. Experts say the nation may see a surge in evictions. So if they're experts, why would they have to use the word may? If you're an expert, you need to tell us exactly what's going to happen. That's what makes you an expert. So obviously these people really aren't experts. Otherwise they would say there's definitely going to be or not going to be an eviction cliff. Okay, so it's impossible to be an expert because it's way too detailed to really know the full picture. One state may have eviction moratoriums locally. Another city or state may not. So this is going to be very, very local. And you could see one city have a big problem and a lot of people getting evicted. And the city a few miles away not have any problems because they're going to keep the moratorium in place. Now, the cities that are going to keep the moratoriums in place, they're going to have problems of their own. What about these homeowners, these landlords that are not getting their rent? Who's going to come in and rescue them? Will the foreclosure ban apply to people with investment properties, to the small mom and pop landlord that has a few rental properties, up to the corporation that has hundreds and in some cases thousands of rental properties? Now, the big corporate landlords, they're going to have a much easier time because they have so many different renters, hundreds and thousands of some cases. They can raise the rent on the ones that are paying the rent. But a small mom and pop landlord that just has a few renters, they're not going to be able to raise the rent enough to make up for the ones that are not paying the rent. So it's going to be the little guy that gets hurt, again, the middle class, small investor. The big companies, they'll do just fine. 1 in 3 businesses, they say their financial situation currently is making it look like they're not going to survive past the summer. We're going to talk about that in our next report. It's more not so good news, but we need to face reality, economic reality. Continue to ride the bull, prepare for the bear. Everybody, thank you for being here. Stay good, stay well, stay safe. Keep stacking. Link down below. You might want to hedge yourself against this inflation. Grab some silver. Grab some silver while you can. If you feel that's a good investment choice, that's something I'm accumulating every week. I continue to accumulate more silver. Big things ahead for silver, in my opinion. Thanks, everybody. Stay well. Bye now.